little introduction. I'm gonna do the English and Spanish, and we'll go from there. Right? I'll introduce you.
I'm very surgical, physical when I'm lyrical. So bad it now with medical, something critical. It's gonna take a miracle. Bright lights, but the spiritual written down like biblical. I finally reached the pinnacle. Yeah. Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth, the boxing Playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
Mi gente, estoy aquí, Dani Santiago, con Ray Sosa, el maestro, y el invitado de esta semana es John Scully. John Scully no habla español, él es un americano de Massachusetts y bueno, vamos a la entrevista en inglés esta semana, pero John Scully tiene un resumen, una hoja de vida que mide como 3 páginas y tengo el orgullo, el placer para dar una entrevista a un amigo, una leyenda, y un hombre que está haciendo muchas cosas en el boxeo. Here we go in English, everyone. This week, our show will be in English. Boxing Playhouse Latin America is now Latin America this week. It's English this week. This week, we have the fortunate, the honor, and the privilege of interviewing. I consider him somebody I've looked up to in my life, who's done a great many things for boxers, not just in boxing. The things that this gentleman has done for the boxing community is immeasurable. And I'm not kissing his butt. He just deserves his flowers. This gentleman's name is, and I'm going to introduce Mr. Maestro Ray Sosa, and Ray Sosa going to chime in on this. But this gentleman is John the Iceman, and he's cool as shit. Scully, John the Iceman Scully. How you doing, Ray Sosa? You want to talk about the guest of honor tonight?
Yeah, first I want you to meet Canelo.
All right. Hey, Canelo. All right.
That's my Canelo. What's up, John?
Okay. How you doing? Everything's good.
Ice, baby.
Yes, sir.
Listen, man. Listen, we're going to dive into your thing. I got 3 pages here. You know, we're going to dive into some of your stuff. But, you know, I was reading this and you train a lot of fighters. And I want to make sure we don't forget about this because you train some serious, hard-hitting killers. You know what I mean? So I see here, you know, happy belated birthday, you know, by the way. I like a lot of things about you. I like everything about you, except I hope you're not a Boston Red Sox fan. That's all. That's the only thing I can't go with.
I haven't watched baseball, man, since years. Years.
So now I love you. So now we're even better. All right, because I'm a diehard Yankee fan, right?
And I wear, if I wear a hat, I wear a Yankee hat.
Even better.
And you know what's funny? Everywhere I go, people will be like, "Man, we got to sharpen up the hitting," and I'll be like, "What?" And they'll be like, "The hitting, man." I'm like, these are strangers, and they're like, our pitching is lacking, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then I realized they're talking about my hat. They're talking about the Yankees. They think I know everything because I wear the hat. They think I know everything. I'm like, I couldn't name one player on the team. I don't know.
You just like the hat.
I just like the hat.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of the players. We were talking about my career early in the week, and I got my name because I played baseball, not because I was a boxer. They named me the Bronx Bomber because of baseball, not because I actually boxed, But saying that, man, happy belated birthday. You do a lot of things for fighters. You do a lot of things. You do these fundraisers. You do these auctions to benefit and help out fighters and keep us together as a family and bring awareness to depression and some of the things that athletes go to, not just boxers in particular, because your realm of doing things is so wide. But I'm constantly looking at things. If I had a little bit of change in my bank account, I might bid in for one of those things that you got going on. But they're just so incredible. The signature gloves, the posters, the memorabilia that you auction off for these organizations is just unbelievable. And I want you to talk about that a little later on. Getting it to you, you had an incredible amateur career, 70 plus fights here. You were 4-time Golden Gloves champion. Am I correct?
I was 4-time Western New England champion. I was 3-time New England champion. And the National Golden Gloves, I went to the finals twice, nationals, and I missed it. I lost a split decision in both finals, 1987 and 1988. So I missed being the national champion of the Golden Gloves by one fight. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? Know something, Ray? Did you read this, man? That he was nominated, or he was considered to be the best fighter. I'm gonna read it word for word. Fought for you were considered to be the most outstanding fighter at the National Golden Gloves and the Eastern Olympic Trials.
Right.
That's what it says here in Wikipedia. Right. Am I correct?
Yeah. Like the Eastern Olympic Trials in 1988 was it was like a dream come true. I fought Darren Allen, who was a world champion, world amateur champion, national champion. He went to the Pan American Games. He was a superstar in amateur boxing. And
wow.
I used to dream about Darren Allen. I used to dream about fighting. I mean, it was, he was the man. He was number one. He actually won the world title in 1986. He beat Henry Maskey in the finals of the World Championships to win the title. And, Darren beat Cubans and Russians and, and when I fought him, you know this, like fighters will say about a fight, they will say, I'd rather die than lose, right? And they don't mean it. Like they mean it, but they don't mean it, right? Like nobody wants to die. They're just saying they really want to win. But when I fought Darren Allen, I was ready to die. Like I wanted to win that fight more than anything on earth. And beating him was literally the happiest moment of my life. 100%.
Wow. I can sympathize with that when like I said, when I've gone down your resume, you fought for the IBF title, you fought for the WBO title, you won. Yo, listen, I remember as a young kid, a young teenager, watching USA Tuesday night fights. And I can tell you straight up, my brother, I remember seeing you fight on USA Tuesday night fights.
Yeah.
And they're no longer doing shows anymore. But I mean, I was telling my wife, because I do my homework and she's here in my little makeshift office and we're talking about you. I'm like, you're one of the most popular individuals that I know in the boxing game. I said, if you ever need somebody's phone number, you call John Scully up. John Scully knows everybody. Like there's not one person that you do not know. Am I correct or what? Let's be honest.
Well, I'm gonna tell you a funny thing. I don't know if you saw it, and it really shocked me. If you go to YouTube, there's a video where Mike Tyson says, if you need somebody's phone number, John Scully can get it for you. And it's the craziest thing and I was like, man, how does he know this? And then I realized Mike, he was amateur in the early 80s with a guy named Henry Hughes from Cleveland, Ohio. And Henry was the top amateur back in the day. And Henry was telling me, like, man, I used to love Mike, man. Me and Mike used to be close, but I haven't seen him in 30 years. So I gave me a number, and I gave Mike Henry Hughes' number. Next thing I know, Henry Hughes is sending me pictures of him and Mike. He went to Mike Tyson's show, his one-man show, and Mike brought him backstage, and he said Mike treated me like I was a superstar. And it was after that when Mike said that I had all the numbers and stuff.
Well, listen, I just know this because first I always, look, I've been honored and granted the privilege of, I'm going to introduce this person as I'm saying this, who I call her my boss because she's the she's the person who got the show, Boxing Playhouse, Sakura Armstrong. She invited me to be a part of the show, and I do a lot of homework now, a lot of things, and I'm trying to transition to a journalist per se, right? And I know that you threw your hat into that realm, and you've done some things on ESPN for their classical fights and stuff like that. But ever since I've been involved in this, I started reading a little bit more and I started investigating. And even though I know a lot about you and we run in the same circles and things we have similar friends, I know that you know like everybody. Like I'm a little envious. Like people love you. People hate on me, but people like love you. You know what I mean? I'm like, why can't I be like John? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, you know? I want to introduce my the person that started the show, the founder of the show, Sakura Armstrong. She's about to get on with us. You know, she has some questions for you as well. She's the boss of the show. Her name is Sakura Armstrong. Sakura, you there? You back there somewhere? You ready to get in with us? She'll get in with us in a second. But in saying that, man, yeah, Mike. I agree with Mike, because Mike said the truth. Like, you know everybody. You're like at all the Hall of Fame inductions. Right, you're always in Times Square, like taking the guys out to eat at, you know, all these ex-fighters and stuff like that. I'm like, the next time I go to New York, I gotta hit my boy up, and I gotta invite you out to dinner. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be doing a thing in New York City this summer. You know, I did one June 24th. It was incredible. Like, you wouldn't believe the people who were there. And I'm gonna do it again this coming June or July. And I mean, I'm gonna have everybody there. We're gonna have the time of our lives for sure.
Well, if you need somebody to hold your bag or something, I'm the guy, right? I'm the guy. All right. There's the boss, Sakura Armstrong.
Hello, boss.
We can't hear you, Sakura. We can't hear you.
Oh, I said, Ola, how are you doing tonight? Iceman, right?
I'm doing well. Yes. How are you?
Awesome. I mean, I'm happy that you were able to join us tonight. I'm always humbled by the type of guests that we're able to have on, and that you gave your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Sakura, remember, you know, sometimes we're trying to reach out and talk to certain people and get people's numbers and get people's guests. You need to log this guy's name in your Rolodex, man. This guy knows everybody.
Oh, that's very nice to know. I mean, we could always use some help on that front.
I'm connected. I think, you know, it's funny. I've been doing this since I was an amateur. I used to go to the Nationals, and I don't understand why other people don't do it, but I would go and I would meet guys, and I'd be, hey, man, give me your address. I'll mail you a letter. I'll mail you a postcard. You know, I'll keep in touch. And I was like the only one doing it. And years later, people would be like, oh, whatever happened to so-and-so, Lamar Parks or whoever. And I'd be, oh, yeah, I talk to him all the time. And so I'd be giving out phone numbers all the time. And I was like, man, I've been, you know, now the guys are older. They want to keep in touch. But I've been doing this since I was a kid. I've always kept in touch with guys. And, you know, it's been fun. It's been a fun thing for sure.
Smart man.
Exactly.
They say sometimes it's better to have friends than it is to have money. I don't know if I agree with that, but it is pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, connecting isn't easy because it's not just a matter of having numbers in your phone. I mean, these have to be people that actually like engaging with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they actually like your personality and want to continue a relationship with you. Like, so, I mean, my phone is full of numbers. It's nothing. It don't translate to things. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a boxing scene girl. I'm a boxing Playhouse girl.
Okay. Well, you know, it's funny. I was looking through my phone one day, and a friend of mine, one of the fighters, he was standing next to me, and I was scrolling through the names because I had to find something or whatever. And he's looking at, I guess he was looking at the phone, and he's like, man, you know Michael Moore? And I'm like, what? He goes, you got Michael Moore's number? I said, yeah, I know Mike since we were kids. He goes, and he's like, you know Roy Jones? And he's like just freaking out, you know? And you know, it's funny. Like, the boxing game is a funny game. Like, it's so small, you know what I mean? Like, it's small. Like if you guys wanted to connect, I could connect you with somebody in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's just an amazing thing to be able to reach out to these guys. And like I say, they've been helpful. I mean, like Ray Mercer, for example. Ray is a huge fan of what I do, you know, helping the fighters. And a lot of guys, you know, back in the day, you know, I would ask certain people for their autograph on a glove, and they'd want me to pay them. You know, like, oh, I said, man, what are you, crazy? Like, I'm trying to raise money for people who need it, not you. And but guys like Ray Mercer, they would sign 100 things for me. Like Ray Mercer, I got to give a shout out to Ray. Like Ray is a big supporter, you know, and he's a big name. He's a big name in the game.
Yeah.
But he's never asked me for a nickel. He's always volunteered to help me. So I respect guys like that 100%.
You must be talking about Riddick Bowe.
Yeah. Well, Bo has his ways, but I know Bo. I make Bo sign. I tell Bo, I say,
Yeah, I know you got to.
I'm not giving you I'm not giving you a nickel. I say you're signing this glove for me, and that's it. You know, so we go back to the Junior Olympics, 1983, 40 years ago. So I'm lucky I have a little connection with him, maybe that helps me.
I got a question, John. You threw an event for Benitez in Spanish Harlem. Remember that?
I did that two of them actually. Twice I did that.
When I found out about it, that's when I became a fan of you, because I'm like, how did he figure out to do it at the 108 Lounge?
You know, I had a friend in New York, and I was telling him we got to do it somewhere. We got to do it somewhere popular, and he hooked me up with the people there, and it was you obviously know the place, and that's a real spot. Like
that's my hood. That's my hood. Honey.
Yeah.
Honey.
That's a real New York spot.
I was already in Florida. I would have went there. Mark went. Breland told me about it. Mark went.
Yeah. Breland was there. Dennis Milton was there. Junior Jones, Iran Barkley, Pedro Vieira. We had Wilfred Benitez's brother was there. It was a good day for sure.
How did you get the name Iceman?
Well, when I was a kid, it was a thing. I don't know what they call it in New York or Florida, but like we used to call it ranking. You know, you make fun of people's head or whatever, cap and whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And they used to say I had a square head, and my friends used to say I had a square head like a block. And so, you like that? So they said it was like a block. So I have the videotape from 1985. I fought this kid, Robert Perez, at the Gore Ballroom, and my friends went to the fight, and you can hear them on the video saying, "Come on, blockhead, come on, ice block," saying I had a head like a block of ice. And
oh wow!
So that's where it evolved from supposedly having a square head.
And all this time, I thought it was because you put guys out cold.
Everybody thinks that. Yeah.
I thought it's because
nowhere near the reason.
I thought it's because of Saturday cartoons. They used to have Spider-Man, Fire Girl, a Fire Starter, and the Iceman. It was a trio. And
I don't remember that. Nah, nothing to do with that. Nothing.
Wow. Okay. Well, see, look, they called you blockhead. They called me big head. So we had. I used to get all the jokes like, "Oh, Danny, were you the head of your class? Did you have a head start?
Right.
I knew your head strong." They always mess with me a little bit, especially when
that's some cruel individuals.
Oh no, listen, Sakura. I used to be at 15 years old. I weighed about 200 pounds, right? I've been the same size. I was 15 years old, but I used to fight at 175. So when I used to get down to 175, I need like a kickstand to hold my head up. It was just too much weight for me. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Right. Yeah, kids are cruel.
And you fought as a light heavyweight too, right?
Yeah, I started at 160, and I went to 68 and then 75. Yep.
Let me ask you this about that, because that's an interesting topic. When we, had that Canelo fight this weekend, and the topic is, is there weight divisions like 154 to 168? Is that? I mean, how did you feel that weight transitioning when you were going through it? I mean, if you can recall.
Well, I'll be honest, I never should have been at 160. It was too hard to make. I had a manager. Honestly, he was a fool. He was stupid. He turned me pro. I was 165 pounds as an amateur. As an amateur going pro, when I turned pro, I was ranked 4th in the United States at 165 pounds. So I was very solid at the weight. I used to come in at 170, 171, and I would have to lose the weight to make 65. When I turned pro, he wanted me to be 160 as a middleweight. And I said, well, I need to be heavier. I haven't been 160 since I was, 16 years old.
Mhm.
And he said it was one of the original weight classes, the original 8 weight classes. He didn't believe in super middleweight and junior.
Okay.
So
Cruiserweights.
he
Yeah.
was he was a fool. And I'm telling him, he goes, "Oh, super middleweight's not a real weight class." I said, "What are you talking about? Sugar Ray Leonard is the champion of the world right now. What are you talking about?" And so I fought at 160, draining myself to make the weight.
Right.
Was really bad. I ended up being 18-2 at that weight, but after the second loss, I separated with him and I moved up to 168.
Oh, so at that point, he still didn't want to let you
No, it
be
was
more at your.
the second loss. I thought for sure he'd see what this was, and he still wanted me to go 160, and so we broke up right there.
Wow. I mean, pretty amazing, but we see it over and over in the sport, even today, with management teams and trainers too, that want, their fighters to be, 10 pounds less than, so they can fit in a specific weight class,
Right. I
and
mean,
kind of bully people around, they
you have to
think.
fight where you're comfortable, and today we live in the era. See, back in the day, guys didn't easily move up and down in weight. They never moved down. They always moved up, and they didn't do it. It was a big deal. Like when Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard and guys like that, when they moved up in weight, the question was always, are they going to carry their power with them? Are they going to carry their chin with them? Now guys move up and down like it's nothing. And I'm not accusing anyone, but I think there's something funny going on with that. There's certain pharmacists, I think, that are helping, and there's certain supplements, maybe you want to call them, that they're using. But it's very strange that guys can move up and down in weight now so easily.
Well, listen,
Back in the
Yeah,
day,
I
they
think
didn't
the
do that.
only guy that went down in weight recently and had any success is Nonito Donaire. And he's also pretty amazing in the fact that he believes in VADA testing and 24-hour VADA testing at
Right.
that.
But
So,
see, the thing about him, the weight classes in the lower classes are so close to each other. I mean, they have
yeah,
they're only,
closer.
in some places, they're only 3 pounds apart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, whereas you used to go from middleweight to super middleweight, it was 15 pounds. And then they put
Mm-hmm.
the super middleweight in. So it's a little bit different now. But I know I've always said, and I can give you all the examples, the older you get, once you hit 30, you're not supposed to be moving down in weight, right? You don't
Mm-hmm.
go, and I can give you examples. I mean, even Muhammad Ali, when he fought Larry Holmes, he had to come down in weight, was a ghost of himself.
Mm.
Sugar Ray Leonard against Terry Norris, Oscar De La Hoya against Manny Pacquiao. You had Antonio Tarver against Bernard Hopkins. You had Roy Jones against Antonio Tarver. The list is endless. Chad Dawson against Andre Ward. You
Oh
move down in weight,
yes. Okay.
it's
I almost forgot about that Andre Ward
yeah.
but he
yes,
trains at
that
Dawson.
was a
Yeah,
difficult fight for
I was
him.
with Chad for
He
that
trains
fight.
at Dawson.
Yeah, I was with him for
Oh,
that
really?
fight.
Okay.
I was with him for that fight, and I saw
Mm-hmm.
what they did, like how he lost the weight, and
Mm-hmm.
and it was just insanity. Like, it's crazy. At Once you reach the age of 30, people don't know. Like Muhammad Ali, people think because he's a heavyweight, but still, Muhammad Ali at 38, when he fought Larry Holmes, he came down from the high 280s to fight Larry. And I think he went down all the way to 217, which was only a couple pounds above his prime weight. So Ali at 38 going down to 217 was a horrible mistake. And you saw he got murdered by Larry Holmes. He was like a
Yeah.
ghost of himself. Um, So I'm not, I'm certainly not a fan of moving down in weight at all once you hit the age of 30.
So
John.
that sounds like Charlo might be in trouble from going from 168 back to 154.
Right. He probably, he shouldn't do it. He should go maybe go 160. But I think if he built himself up muscle wise, if he didn't just do it with, extra food and water weight, but if he did it where he gained muscle, I wouldn't recommend going back down and going all 54,
Hey,
It
John.
did look like water weight to me because his legs were they got super skinny. They didn't have any muscle to them that I saw that night. So hopefully he can. If I was guiding him, I would say, hey, let's do 160 first. Do a fight or two there, and then get back to 154. Like at least do it gradually if he's gonna do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, John, real quick.
Yeah.
I was, being a fighter, you were a fighter. There's a couple questions here. When you fought in your walk around weight, when you started boxing, you said you started boxing in the 60s, 168, right?
Right.
What was your heaviest walk around weight? There's a couple questions here. So,
well, I remember being heavy. Like I would be heavy. I remember, put it this way, when I fought one fight at 175. And 2 days after the fight, I weighed 193. I went back up high. So I would come down. I would usually have to lose about 18 pounds, probably.
How old were you? How old were you then?
Late 20s.
Well, see, like I talk about this all the time because Ray knows me for a long time. I mean, since I was 14 or 15 years old, I weighed about 200 pounds, right? I wasn't a fat kid. I'm built the same way. Now, right now, I'm about 225. But I just stopped growing at 15 years old. I was in an accident. I stopped growing. I didn't get any taller, right? So I used to drop down to 175. And you hit the nail on the head because when I was in my 20s and I turned pro at 23, 24, and I was up to like 28, 29 years old, I never had problem making weight. And then once I hit 30, that number 30, 29, 30, it was like, I had to cut a leg off, it was just, I used to kill myself to make weight. I would show up to the weight at the fights. And I remember one time I fought a guy and I would like eat a piece of bread, a slice of Wonder Bread, and my gums would start bleeding. That's how much weight, how malnourished I was and emaciated I was, you know what I'm saying? And then I started investigating things because one of the guys that I fought, and I won't mention no names, I'm not trying to throw dirt on anybody, but one of the guys I fought, before I fought him, he got accused of doing steroids, right? And people misunderstand the thing about steroids, and I want to maybe you can help clarify this for me. And then we fought, and he didn't do steroids. And then the next fight that he fought somebody, he got caught doing steroids again. And these guys are fighting, and then they get rewarded. They get suspended, and then the next fight they fight again, they get rewarded with all these big paydays. But a lot of people misunderstand. There's steroids to help you build muscle and stuff like that. But I found out during my career, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there are also steroids that help you maintain your strength while you're cutting weight, while you're doing certain things. Am I correct?
Right. They have so much stuff now, high tech steroids, and that can target, like cardiovascular, target muscle and water retention and all these different things. It really, I'll tell you, in sports in general, it's a huge problem, right? I sparred with a guy who he only had one pro fight. He was not, I wouldn't call him a legitimate boxer, but he was fighting and he had a pro fight. I sparred with him and I know he was on steroids. And even with all my experience, he hit so hard, right? I could feel the power. And he never had at the time I boxed with him, he was getting ready for his one and only pro fight. I also remember 1992, I did a talk at a school about, I remember I was talking about AIDS, HIV and AIDS, and I was doing HIV prevention. And I did the talk with a guy named Steve Corson, who was a on all 4 of Pittsburgh Steelers' first Super Bowl team. So I was a huge Pittsburgh fan. That was my team. Lynn Swann was my idol. So it was such a thrill to talk to him. And I'll never forget what he told me. And he said, everybody in the NFL is on steroids. And this is back in 1992.
Wow.
He told me, everybody. He said, your favorite player is on steroids. And he said, you can't be in the NFL and not be on steroids. You'd have to be crazy to think anyone could play football without being on steroids. They would get killed. You cannot be in the NFL and not do steroids. You have no choice. You can go to the NFL and say you don't want to do steroids, and they say you can't play. You'll get killed. We will be sending you in a body bag to the morgue. You cannot play in the NFL if you do not have steroids, period. That was 1992 when he told me that. So you can imagine what it's like now.
Hey, this is one of our other co-hosts. His name is Angel Hidalgo. Angel, the Iceman.
Scully, yes. I'm sorry I'm late. Work schedule and stuff like that. Forgive me for just coming in the middle of stuff. I'm sure I missed a lot. I know you fought as a light heavyweight, correct? You were light
for the most part. I started at middleweight, but I ended up at light heavyweight. Yes. Right.
I know you were around the time with Vinny Paz. Did you spar Vinny Pazienza?
I sparred Vinny 100 times.
What was that like? Did you get the better of him, or did he get the better of you? Was he busy?
We had. I'll tell you honestly, and he'll tell you himself. Like, I just saw him the other day, like 2 days ago. We were at an event in Atlantic City, and he was my favorite sparring partner. And the reason being, you didn't spar Vinny Pazienza. You
fought Vinny.
Yes,
yes, sir.
Sparred just like he fought in a real fight. If he could knock you out, he would knock you out. Like, he would go for the home run. He was so energetic, and you couldn't go spar with him just to have an easy day. Like, you had to be on your game because he was all about it, 100%. It was I love Pazienza.
Hey, John, I sparred
like animosity. Like in the ring. I know. I'm sorry.
Great still are, but you would, during the spar, that's the best kind of sparring, with two guys who you think they're enemies by watching them spar, and then when they get done sparring, they're hugging each other and they think it's great. But while they're sparring, you're saying they're trying to kill each other. Like, somebody's going to die today. That's the best kind of sparring.
John, I know Vinny very well as well. Great guy. He used to live down in South Florida. And I got to spar him at South Florida Boxing. I'm sure you're aware of it, down on South Beach.
Yeah.
And I sparred him, and I was in the middle of going through a midlife crisis as far as career and money and things like that were going on. So he came down to the gym and needed some work, and I sparred with him. And it was really the first time I sparred with him, right? Yeah. And I swear to you, man, it was like I was in a straight street fight, man. It was just like this dude, I hung around one time, and he used to drink like espressos, like those espressos, And it was like when you spar with him, he's like he drank 20 of those things, man. He just does not stop. And you're the other person that I spar with is like that a little bit, that was so electrifying that I know is RJJ. That you spar with Roy, you feel like you in there with 5 invisible people, man. It was no joke, Right? Am I right or wrong?
No, Roy's, look, I've sparred with like almost 40 world champions, right?
Yeah. And
I sparred with James Toney. James Toney's a great fighter, but Roy Jones, the best. Like, I can't. When I turned pro, I sparred Roy as an amateur also, and it's actually on YouTube. You could go watch it. And when I turned pro, I was number 4 in the country in my weight class. So all of us turned pro at the same time, like Gerald McClellan and Joe Lipsy and Lamar Parks and all these guys. So as a pro, I'm thinking of fighting everybody and how I could beat them. And, and with every guy, I came up with a scenario where I could win. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm too strong for one guy, or I'm too good of a boxer. But with Roy, I'm like, I can't really see a scenario where I'm going to beat this guy. Like he just was too much. Like he just, he was. People forget, man. Like his song said, y'all must have forgot. I mean, they forget who he was in his prime. Like he was a certified phenomenon, 100%.
I sparred with him in Great Gorge, New Jersey.
Yeah,
He was like 26-0 or something at the time. That's like before he started messing around with different weight classes and all that, when he was Roy Jones. And I was up there, and he was up there with Merck and Smoke and all of this. And
was that for the Thomas Tate fight by any chance?
Honestly, it was it was just before. He wasn't in camp for Lou DeVal. He was in camp for somebody else. But then the Lou DeVal fight came after that. But anyway, he was like 26, 27-0, something like that. And I go to Coach Merck. I'm like, hey Merck, I'm gloved up. What do you need me to do? How many rounds you want? He goes, hey, listen, son. You go in there and you keep your hands up. And if you can get through the first round, we'll see what happens in the second round. You know what I mean? And I took it personal. Like I got pissed off. Now I only had 4 pro fights at the time. You know what I mean? And I got real pissed. I went in there, and I think I did about 3 rounds, whatever. We did about 3 rounds, But I'm telling you, man, I sparred in 2 different camps, The second time around was a little bit different because I was over the mystique of Roy Jones. I was like, oh shit, I'm in here with Roy Jones, Right. But I swear to you, I'll tell everybody this true story, man. It was like I was in there with like 5 invisible people, and they kept turning on the lights, and I couldn't see them. Which is crazy, man.
Yeah. Listen. Let me tell you the funniest thing, but he meant it. I don't know if you remember Ronnie Essett, but Ronnie Essett was as an amateur, he won the National Golden Gloves. He won the U.S. Championships. He was an elite amateur. As a pro, he fought for the world title 3 times. WBC title, WBA, and all that. He's a top level fighter. Ronnie Essett sparred with Roy for the James Toney fight. And he told me, I laughed so hard. He said to me, I sparred Roy every day for the James Toney fight. He said it got so bad that when the camp was almost over, I asked Coach Merck to let me spar with someone else to see if I have any skills left. Because he said, I felt like a baby sparring with this man. and I always think of that when I think about how good Roy was. You had a guy like Ronnie Essett, who was a very high level fighter. He said, I was lost sparring with Roy Jones. I couldn't do anything.
At least he made it. At least he made it a while. All the other fighters used to send them home.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I sparred Roy as an amateur, but as a pro, we went to camp. And then I went for the next fight. And when I came back for the next camp, one of his assistant trainers, a guy named Lem Jones, he goes, you're the first one so far to come back. And he goes, you're the first. Nobody's ever come back for a second.
Nah, man.
I'm like, really? He goes, we've had guys, at least one guy. He said the guy left in the middle of the night. During the trip, they went to get him the next day, and the guy at the hotel said, "No, that guy left like 5 o'clock this morning. He's been gone. He didn't get paid or anything.
Hey, Ice,
money.
He couldn't sleep. The guy couldn't sleep.
Yeah, man, I understand completely.
How was the Hall of Fame?
I'm done.
You came from the Hall of Fame, right?
I was in Atlantic City. Yeah. The Hall of Fame in Atlantic City is unbelievable. It's one of the best weekends of the year by far.
Wow.
You can't say that. You haven't been to ours yet, have you? Here in Florida.
Yeah, listen. I was with Roberto Duran, Iran Barkley, James Toney, just the other day. I mean, it's a spectacular. I've heard good things about Florida, but you have to give Atlantic City their due. I mean, it's like I say, we're all in one room. It's called the fan experience, and fans can come in and you walk up to the fighters and literally, and Michael Nunn was supposed to be there, but his uncle passed away and he had to go to the funeral. But I mean, Roberto Duran, Iran Barkley, Junior Jones, Michael Spinks, Hector Camacho Jr., Ray Mercer, it was just phenomenal. Michael Olajide, I mean, it was phenomenal. These guys are everywhere you look. Even the real Roxanne was there. She was. I don't know. I assume you remember her.
Roxanne, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
she's a huge boxing fan. I've gotten to know her a little bit. She's always at the Atlantic City Hall of Fame. She's always there supporting the fighters, and she's a real knowledgeable boxing fan.
Hey
100%.
John, you
That's
mentioned Lamar
great. I
Park,
mean, I'm
right?
always looking for a female, boxing fan that can be as excited as I am, because there's like very few of us out there in the
Oh,
world.
well, Roxanne is a fan. You know who else?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's the biggest female boxing fan I know. She's
Everybody says Rosie.
Rosie Perez.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find a bigger
Yeah,
boxing fan than her.
I know Rosie Perez, man. I
Yeah.
chilled out with her in New York a few times at
Listen,
Jimmy's and a few other places, man. Yeah, she's a
hey,
huge boxing fan.
can I tell you my Rosie Perez story?
Tell
Yeah.
me.
Okay, and then I'll answer your question in a second. But this is a great story. I fought on the undercard of Bo and Holyfield, the first fight, and I got cut really bad. I got three scars from the cut. After the fight, I wanted to go to the hospital to get stitched up, but I wanted to see because there were so many people there hanging. Jack Nicholson was there, Kareem was there, Magic was there, so I wanted to hang out. And at one point, Rosie Perez was walking by, and she looked over, and my trainer, he was like, "Man, I think she gave you a double take." I said, "You think so?" He goes, "Go say something to her." And I said, "I'm all cut up, you know." So I didn't bother, right? But in my mind, the movie White Men Can't Jump had just come out. So I always say, if I ever would have went over to her, I would have said to her, I could jump, right? and see how it goes. So, 20 something years go by, and I always, I used to think about it. I said, man, if I could do it again, I would have said that to her. So I'm on Twitter, and I see her on Twitter. So I commented, and I said, yeah, you were at my fight, and blah, 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 blah. So she answered me back, and we started talking a little bit. And I said to her, I said, yeah, I was going to come up to you, and I was going to say, I can jump, right? And she goes, oh, if you ever meet me in person, say that to me. I said, all right. As luck would have it, like a year later, I'm at the International Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota. I'm in the basketball gym, huge place, and they're doing the memorabilia show. So I'm walking around checking out the stuff, and all of a sudden I hear on the microphone, they say, all right, everybody coming to the stage in 2 minutes. This year's Grand Marshal of the parade, Rosie Perez, is coming to the stage. And my friend's like, oh man, you gotta go talk to her. This is crazy. I said, yeah, I'm gonna wait in line. So I wait in line with all these people, and they've got pictures and posters, and they want her to sign stuff. So I finally get up to her. I get up, I walk right up to her. Now she doesn't know what I look like. I get right up to her. She's sitting behind the table. I don't have anything in my hand. I said to her, I tap on the table. I said, listen, let me tell you something. I said, I don't have anything for you to sign. I don't have a picture. I don't have a poster. I don't even have a pen. I just want to tell you something. At this point, she's looking at me like security needs to come and help her, right? So,
Oh no, did we just lose him?
no, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, we didn't hear that part. You cut out as soon as she looked at you and said, what?
Oh, no, she looked at me with the look, because I said to her, listen, I don't have anything for you to sign. I don't have a pen. I don't have a poster. I don't have anything for you to sign. I just want to tell you something. So she's looking at me like security needs to come and help, right? And I look and I said to her, I could jump, right? She jumped out of her seat, ran around the table, and gave me a hug. And I've seen her. It's funny. Wow. I never met her in my life.
Yeah,
I've seen her a bunch of times. I've seen her in New York, and she introduced me to her husband. And I was actually on her podcast. Her and her cousin Sixto, they do a podcast, and I've actually been a guest 2 or 3 times on her podcast. So, and my fighter fought on Showtime about 5 months ago, and she tweeted about it after. She goes, "Oh, shout out to John Scully. His fighter won tonight. Blah blah blah. So yeah, she's a big boxing fan. 100%.
Good
Yeah,
story.
man.
Yeah, definitely. That's a cool thing for sure. And you hit her with one thing that she probably wasn't expecting, but was funny as hell.
Yeah. Well, I had told her. I said, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna meet you someday, and I'm gonna say it. Sure enough, there she is.
Hey John,
Yeah, that's pretty
you
cute.
mentioned Lamar Parks, right?
Yeah.
Was that Kid Fire? They call him Kid
Yeah,
Fire.
exactly.
What happened to him?
He came down with HIV. He was supposed to fight Gerald McClellan in 1993, August, I believe, of 93. He was set to fight Gerald for the title.
Right.
And actually, Roy Jones' father told me before the fight, he said he had Lamar winning. He picked Lamar to win. Lamar was I fought Lamar. I beat Lamar twice in the Nationals as an amateur. He was an elite fighter, one of the best fighters I've ever been in the ring with. I sparred with him twice, and I beat him twice in amateurs. I would say, pound for pound, he was the hardest puncher I've ever been in.
What happened to him though? Where's he at?
He's still in South Carolina. He's doing all right. I talked to him on the phone. We text each other all the time. He's doing
Isn't
all
he
right.
one of the first guys that painted his hair blonde?
Yeah, I think he did do that. Yeah, he did do that for
He
a
had
fight.
like a floss tip, right?
Yeah, he did do that for a fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
He dyed
Back
his
in the
hair.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But
That's what he
listen,
remembers.
watch some highlights. He was Lamar was a monster, man. He was legit. He was 100% legit.
Kid Fire.
Yeah, good fighter.
And that's Lamont who?
Lamar,
Lamar
MAR.
Parks.
Lamar Kid Fire Parks from Greenville, South Carolina.
Parks. Okay. Lamar Parks.
Yeah, that kid could light it up.
No, yeah, Lamar was a beast, man. We like I say, I beat him twice in the Nationals, 1987 and 1988. And I boxed him, and it was good. And then we sparred in Times Square, and I remember that day. Saul Mamby was there.
Saul Mamby.
Luis Santana was there. Lots of people were there, and I remember we did 8 rounds, and they gave us a standing ovation when we were done. We really went at it. But I remember saying to myself, "This kid hits like he's got a bowling ball in his glove. Like he hits that hard.
A hard puncher, huh?
Danny, you hear that, Dan?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, but I'll let you bring it up.
What's that?
Listen, real quick. Well, I'm gonna let him talk about it. But you mentioned Michael Nunn, and you fought Michael Nunn for the WBO title.
Right.
Some people thought you won that fight, man.
Yeah. You know what's funny? And the guy at ESPN actually, I always thought this, and the guy at ESPN actually just verified this for me about 2 weeks ago. I had the highest connect percentage of anyone who ever fought Michael Nunn. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was 56% of my punches landed, which usually against Michael, it's like the low 20s. Like he was. But I was, I was very economical. I landed a lot of percentage of my punches, but he was busy. He threw a lot. We had a good fight. I guess it would depend on how you score it, what you're looking for. A lot of people have told me, or I've read online, a lot of people thought I won the fight. I could see how a judge would vote for me, and I could see how a judge would vote against me. It all depends on what type of style of boxing you prefer.
You like, one of those types where it's like a slick boxer against a heavy puncher.
He was very busy, and and he's Michael Nunn. You know what he does, and aggressive. But I think one thing that went against me, honestly, and I think this happens to a lot of fighters, is I did well enough where people didn't believe it. You know what I mean? Like you could go against a guy who's a big favorite. And people almost don't believe it's happening. Like you're catching them with these shots, and they think it's a fluke or something. And I landed the good shots. I was aggressive. I'm happy with the fight because most people, when they meet me at different events, Hall of Fames and different things, that's almost always the fight they want to talk to me about. That's the fight they asked me about. So
And you
I,
answered it like a gentleman.
you know, it
most
was.
people cry.
Yeah, no, listen, I can understand. I like when I was in the ring, I remember distinctly, specifically when I was standing in the ring waiting for them to announce the decision, I was saying to myself, I might get it. I might not, but I might get it. It wasn't a thing where I got blown out, or
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, I got this fight. I was like, I honestly don't know. I think I might get it, but I don't know. So I'm happy that people think I did well. Look, Michael Nunn was a great fighter. I mean, Michael Nunn is, like I looked up to Michael Nunn. I watched Michael Nunn on TV. And when I was getting ready to fight him, that's why I did so well, because I respected him so much that I trained accordingly. Because I said, man, this guy's phenomenal. This guy's unbelievable. I've got to be ready or he's going to stop me, because he wasn't known as a puncher, but he stopped a lot of good fighters. I mean, his performance against Frank Tate, and Frank Tate's an elite guy, Olympic gold medalist, was like a prime Roy Jones type of fight. Like Michael was a superstar that night. So going in against him, I knew I had to step my game up or I was going to get beat up for sure.
Wow.
You know what I was going to ask you, being that you know so much about boxing and who's really talented or not, like who is one of your favorite boxers now that's active now?
Obviously I would say Terrence Crawford. He's a phenomenon.
Phenom, yeah.
I think Canelo, the fight with Bivol exposed a lot about him, but also, I mean, on his day, I mean, when Canelo's on his game, I mean, he's a beast. He's a very good fighter. He's very strong. He's got a lot of skills. The guy I work with, Artur Beterbiev, even if I wasn't on his team, I'm still gonna say Artur Beterbiev is a legitimate monster.
That's a beast.
And he's got freakish power.
But not just that, people are starting to realize that he's not just a banger, a bruiser. Like he's a very smart technical fighter. He sets traps and he's no dummy. Like he's very technical. He's very, even at this age, even at his advanced age and everything, in the gym, he's literally like a young amateur boxer. He wants you to teach him everything. He wants to practice it. He wants to go over it, step by step. He's still in that mode where, to be honest, I've been in the gym with plenty of world champions who didn't work on anything. They just do what they do naturally. They just do what they've been doing for years. But Arthur's still at the point where he wants to learn new things and he wants to try new things. So he's one of the most unique fighters I've ever been involved with.
Hey John, you said something one time that you caught my attention when you called out all these new trainers that just got a towel over their shoulder. That anybody could be a trainer now, correct?
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of insane to be honest with you. Like in amateur boxing, right? I assume you have to be a coach in the United States, you have to take a test and you have to pass the test, and that's how you get your license to be a coach. Now, if you take your young son, 12 years old, to a gym and say, all right, I'm a little bit worried, what's your credentials? And the guy will say, oh, I'm a USA Boxing certified coach. I passed the test, 100 questions, blah, blah. I have my gym. And so, okay, you think he's in good hands. What people don't realize is everybody passes the test. And I know this because I've been there when they've given us the answers. Like we do the test. And to be honest, I've been in boxing my whole life, over 40 years now. I couldn't pass the test if they didn't give me the answers. The questions are so nonsensical. They have no bearing on boxing. Like they'll ask you, like one of the questions is, how long is the gauze that you wrap the hands with? Is it 3 inches by 36 inches? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's the one in the box, like whatever box, the one they give us,
the one they approve.
Right, the one they gave us to wrap the hands with. I don't care like how long it is, but it's and I make a joke about this, but it's almost like the questions will be like, if you run around the block in 3 minutes, will you be A, really tired, or B, bored? Just ridiculous questions that I promise you, Eddie Futch and Ray Arcel and Angelo Dundee could never pass that test. If their lives depended on it, they couldn't pass that test.
The fact you mentioned Eddie Futch, I was gonna ask you, did he ever train you?
No, but he did train a good friend of mine, Marlon Starling. He
Marlon
worked.
Starling.
Yeah,
Who trained you? Who trained you?
Well, my first manager and trainer was a guy named Mac Buckley, who actually trained Marlon Starling when he first was pro, all the way up until he fought Donald Curry for the title. And then a guy named George Cruz from Hartford, Connecticut, who actually just passed away like 3 months ago. Excuse me. He was my trainer also when I fought for the world title.
Were you happy with those guys, or you regret that you didn't go with somebody else?
Well, I'll tell you what. When I first turned pro, I was going to go with Sugar Ray Leonard. He was going to be my guy. I was in camp with Ray, and he wanted to sign me as a pro. But I signed with my first guy because he was local, and here he was a big name, right? He was very well known. And it actually, I'll tell you what, the lesson that it taught me is that just because somebody is well known or on TV, it doesn't necessarily mean that they know stuff, right? Just because they're and when I got with him, after a while, I was like, a lot of the stuff he said to me, I'm like, that's not accurate. Like you're wrong. Like you're wrong about what you're telling me. And I couldn't tell him that. But I don't think I made a good choice, honestly. I think he was a brilliant promoter and a manager. He was a genius of a manager. He was really high level, but I think the training he should have let somebody else be.
You know why I said that?
Why is that?
Because there's times that fighters carry the trainer instead of the trainers carrying the fighter.
Well, it was similar. Yeah, like I see what you mean, because like I say, I didn't, as I'm going along with him, I'm saying to myself, man, it's like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like the things he's telling me are not accurate. And I actually think the guy who was my amateur coach was a better trainer.
He knew more,
but he wasn't well known, and we kind of pushed him out. And I was a kid. I'm 20 years old, and I didn't. I regret that. I regret.
You can't really say much when you're coming up because they always change trainers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it was like it happened right before my eyes, and I didn't even realize it. And I trusted him because he was a big time lawyer and he was very well known. He was one of those managers, one of those boxing people that was just as well known as the fighters were. He was a really prolific guy.
Yeah, that right there gets me, man. A lot of fighters, they slip through the cracks because they want to stay loyal.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mention names here, but Danny's one of them. He could have been a lot better, but he's still loyal. And I'm going to say, no, I don't care who don't like it. He had a lot of potential to go further, but that's a loyal guy there. He's not a guy that is say, yo, and you know what? Sometimes trainers got to be allowed to let somebody in like me. When I was working with Del Val and they wanted to bring Vic Machado in, what was I going to say? The guy been in the game longer than me. Thanks to Victor that he didn't knock me out. He goes, I like that guy. And I worked with Vic, and I even learned more.
Right. See, my guy pushed my amateur coach out, and I was like overwhelmed by it. Like, it's one of my regrets of my life that I didn't say something. I didn't stand up and say, no, this is not wrong. But I didn't feel powerful enough at the time to do it. And now that I look, like
even Bud Crawford was talking about that. He was saying that they wanted him to switch and get rid of his coach that he still has now, Bomac, and go with one of the more well-known trainers. Right.
That's the thing. That's what people do, and I understand it because it happened to me. Yeah. I got tricked into allowing this, And
So is
the
it for
reality,
control? Like what do you think the end game is there?
I mean, I just didn't know enough, I just didn't know enough, and it just was overwhelming, I guess. And if I could do it all over again, I would have put a stop to it on the spot. But
Right.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
didn't I wasn't strong enough or smart enough,
It's
or
just
didn't have
confidence when you
I
John, you're
just
didn't
not the
starting
only one,
out.
John. You're not the
Yeah.
only one, man. You're not the
oh
only
no, for
one.
sure. For
Hey,
sure.
John,
Yeah. Yeah, I
we
made a
got a
mistake.
question. We got a question here from one of our guests. He's a big time supporter of our show, Coach Lou Acevedo, out of I think he's out of Leesburg, Florida. He has a question. He says, if you could change anything in boxing today, what would that be?
Is he asking me?
Yeah, he's asking you.
Yes, you.
I would I would send in a SWAT team and I would dismantle all the sanctioning bodies and I would have two. I would have maybe the WBC and the WBA and the IBF three. I wouldn't allow any more sanctioning bodies to be formed. I would obliterate the regular champion, the emeritus champion, the silver champion,
The
the
super
um,
champion. The
the
super.
interim champion. Which I don't know if you realize. I don't know if you guys have really investigated how stupid the interim champion is. I don't know if you truly understand what an interim champion is. In
Well,
the
I
his,
guess that's what you get when you're unable to successfully have an opportunity at the reigning champion.
Right.
Then
Well,
you're an
here's no
interim
here's
champion.
what an interim champion is. Back in the 1940s, the early 40s, Joe Louis was heavyweight champion. Joe Louis got drafted into the army. He had to go. While he was in the army, they made Jimmy Bivens the interim champion, meaning while Joe Louis is in the army, somebody has to take over the heavyweight title so people can fight for it.
Right.
Then when Joe comes back, he takes over and everything goes back in order. An interim champion can't be installed if the real champion is there,
It's supposed
right?
to be available.
It
Right.
right.
Mhm.
Well, that's what they're doing now. There are interim champions in weight classes where the champion is active. I saw a fight about a year ago. It was like, I'll say hypothetically, WBA middleweight. On the same card, on the same show, was the WBA middleweight championship. The champion was defending the title. On the same show that the WBA interim middleweight champion was defending his title. That's not possible, but they did it and nobody said anything. People are insane. Like people are just letting it happen, and I'm one of the few guys that constantly calls it out. Like it's so
Cool.
dumb. And the other thing, and it just happened today, that the list of potential inductees into the next Hall of Fame at Canastota, the big Hall of Fame, International Boxing Hall of Fame. That's the big one. You have, and no offense to the guy, right? But you have like Timothy Bradley, right? Timothy Bradley's in the Hall of Fame. Okay, Timothy Bradley's in the Hall of Fame. But Marlon Starling is not even on the ballot. Marlon
Wow.
Starling beat. I could be here for 5 minutes telling you, but he beat Mark Breland when he was undefeated.
Twice.
Right. Well, the second time was a draw, but he beat Mark, and they robbed him of the draw. But he beat Breland when I thought nobody on earth could beat Breland. Right.
Right.
He beat Simon Brown when he was undefeated. He beat Jose Barrett when he was undefeated. He beat Tommy Ayers when he was undefeated. He beat Kevin Howard right before Kevin Howard dropped Sugar Ray Leonard. He beat Floyd Mayweather Sr. twice. He beat Lloyd Hunnigan. He beat Lupe Aquino. He beat all these people. He's not even on the ballot.
Wow.
And yet Timothy Bradley is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I've been having conversations about that now because it's like more like a popularity contest
Yes, of
now
course it is. Of
instead
course
of
it
that.
is.
Because
Exactly.
Pinklin Thomas is another one, never inducted.
Right.
Juan
But
Laporte the other week, he told us he wasn't inducted
I was
because
just gonna
the
say
guy
that.
got mad at him for something. Like
right.
it's just so ridiculous when you
Well,
earn that
It's a classic
spot.
case of the go along, get along gang. I
right.
don't even know who the hell's doing their homework because you got
Right.
people getting to Hall of Fames because of people that they know. Look, I might
Right.
listen. I got inducted into the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, and I'm grateful, and I love Steve Ken. I love everybody down there, Bob Alexander, stuff like that. But there's certain Hall of Fames that I look at. I'm like, what is this guy doing there? Like, who's doing their homework?
Right. Yeah. No, it's Michael Nunn has not been inducted. I mean,
Yes, the list.
it's just very weird. And like I say, and I don't like to call fighters out. But Timothy Bradley's kind of vocal, so I don't think he's gonna mind that much because he's living by the sword. So he's
Right.
vocal. So you're not gonna look at Timothy Bradley's record and compare it to Marlon Starling's in terms of who he beat and tell me Marlon Starling should not be in the Hall of Fame. It's not right.
John, I got another one for you, man, because you're old school. I need to hear this from you.
Yeah.
Tell me about Teddy Atlas back in the day.
Well, I remember Teddy way before he got famous, right? I actually have a picture. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's online. I have a picture in 1989 of me, Teddy, and Simon Brown outside the gym in Hartford. And Teddy, people didn't even know who he was at the time. Like I just put him in the picture because he was Simon's trainer, and he wasn't, well known back then. But he worked with a lot of people. He worked with a lot of guys. I think he learned the old school way, and I do think he knows the game. I really do.
Oh, he does.
I do think he went a little overboard after. It was cool the first time when he sat down on the stool with Michael Moore, and he said to Michael, "Do you want me to fight for you? I'll fight."
Man. He goes
Now,
on. That's why I brought him up. Thank you.
when he did that, I thought it was a spur of the moment. I thought it was effective. I thought it worked, right? Then he started doing it. It seemed like every fight he would try to do it. You can't manufacture those
Theatrical.
moments. When Sugar Ray, when Angelo Dundee said to Sugar Ray Leonard, "You're blowing it,
blowing it, kid. You're blowing
it." And then when he said, "Ray, 6 minutes, 6 minutes," you can't manufacture. He did that. That was pure.
Right on.
When you do it on purpose, then he got to be. Remember, he did the thing with Timothy Bradley with the fireman.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that was so ridiculous. Like it was cringeworthy. It's like, I mean, really, like, come on, man.
It's scripted. He had it scripted. Well,
yeah, man. Thank you,
listen,
bro.
Let me tell you a funny story. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. This. When I fought for the world title in Germany against Henry Moski, my trainer George Cruz had trained Marlon Starling when Marlon beat Breland. And he told me the story like 10 times where he said, yeah, when we were in the ring and they were bringing the belt, they were walking Mark to the ring and the guy was holding the belt. And I told Marlon, look at him. They're bringing you your belt. That's your belt. And he told me that story so many times that I said to myself, when I fight Maskey, he's going to say that to me in the ring. And I'm going to be really irritated if he does. Sure enough, we're in the ring. I'm in the ring first. Maskey's walking in. There's 14,000 people there. There's like 2.5 million watching on TV. And all of a sudden, I'm waiting for it. He goes, John. And I wouldn't look at him. So he said my name like 5 times. And I ignored him on purpose, right? And I'm almost like playing a game with him. And I'm like, I'm not looking at him. I'm not going to let him say it. So after a while, he gave up and he just said it. He goes, they're bringing you the belt. And I literally, I'm fighting for the championship of the world in like 3 minutes. And I literally like rolled my eyes. And I'm just like, this is so corny. Like it wasn't natural at all because I knew he was going to do it. So if he did it the first time with Marlon, it was a beautiful thing. But you can't manufacture stuff, and I think
that's Teddy. That was
Teddy
Teddy.
tried to manufacture stuff.
That was Teddy all day, John.
Right,
That was
and
Teddy.
it got to be silly. It got to be kind of ridiculous.
He had such an ego, that guy, man. He knew his stuff, but I couldn't stand the dude back in the day because nobody talks how. Nah, he was arrogant too, man. You couldn't tell him nothing.
Right.
Tell Teddy nothing.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a funny thing. I'll give you an example. He was training, and he got fired, but he was going to train Henry Moskey. Henry Moskey came out of retirement 10 years after retiring because he only had one loss, and that was to Virgil Hill. They fought a rematch 10 years later after retirement, and so he hired Teddy Atlas for the fight. And while they were getting ready for the fight, he ended up getting fired, and he didn't work with Maskey for the actual fight. But when they were fighting, I had a kid I was training named Matt Godfrey, who was a good cruiserweight. And I called Teddy. I said, hey, man, I got some perfect sparring for Virgil Hill, to imitate Virgil Hill. Now, you know how that goes, right? That's how we do. We call, hey, man, I got a guy, man, it'd be perfect. Oh, yeah, thank you. Send him over. Let's see what he looks like. So I told Teddy that, and he got mad at me, and he's like, I know what I'm doing. I know who to get to spar. I don't need help. And I'm like, all right, relax. I thought you could use a guy. And he acted like I was trying to tell him how to be a trainer, and it was weird. It was really weird. And nobody else on earth would do that. Like, nobody else would say that to me.
John, I got one for you, John.
Yeah.
Now I want your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Remember Juan Bambino Cruz?
Big, not really well.
He fought Gino Perez in the garden, and Gino died. Gino got into a coma.
Oh, I remember the
name.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had him when he came out of jail, so we sparred in Gleason's. That's how I met Teddy. I said this before, but I want you to know this. So now, the Harlem Butcher, remember Tyrone Jackson?
Oh, I see Tyrone all the time.
Great fighter, man.
Yeah,
that guy was a monster.
Yeah.
So they want him to spar with my guy. I told Wang, you're not ready. You just came out of jail. But we was so desperate to get signed, Teddy Atlas came in with him. I was like, man, let's get ready for this guy. Let's not go in there right away. But Wang, Ray, please, Ray, I don't want this. They go in there. We agreed to 3 rounds. By the 3rd round, wow, they went at it. It was like a fight. Bing, 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 bing. Juan comes to me, the mouthpiece is coming out. You already know when your fighter's mouthpiece starts coming out, he's good. Don't do the next round. So that was 3 rounds. After the 3rd round, I guess Teddy got in his feelings where he said 1 more round. I said, no, not now. Next time, give me 2 weeks, 1 more round. We go 4. Yo, he caused such a fit. He called Juan a druggie. He called him. I said, if he's a druggie, I'm his drug dealer. He's living with me. He tried to bash him because we didn't do what he wanted us to do.
Right.
I never liked him after that.
I can see that. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You guys, I'll tell you this situation. You tell me what you think. I was doing ESPN News before the big fights. Mayweather, Mosley, a couple other ones. Pacquiao, Clottey. I would go to ESPN Sports Center, and I would do the pre-fight and the post-fight. So I would do the pre-fight preview, then I would watch the fight, then I would come back on the air after the fight, and I would do the the post-fight. So I did that for 3 fights. I think I did Mayweather, Mosley, I did Pacquiao, Clottey, I did a few fights. The 4th fight, I'm coming for the 4th fight. It's a Wednesday. The fight's on a Saturday. They call me. They say, hey, how do you get along with Teddy Atlas? And I said, yeah, we're all right, I guess. We're fine. He goes, what do you think about, we want to put you and him on the air together on the same platform. I said, oh, yeah, that's no problem. I have no problem with that. I said, okay, good. We'll see you Saturday. They called me back like 10 minutes later. They said, we decided we're just going to go with Teddy this week.
That was Teddy. Teddy.
I'm sure, in my opinion, they called Teddy right after me, and he said no. He didn't want to be on with me. They never called me since. It's been like 10 years. They never called me again.
What?
Eddie
The
Ash.
craziest thing is the craziest thing. Me being a trainer for the last whatever years I've been doing. I'm working with fighters like yourself. One thing I know every day is when I wake up and all the experiences. And I've been in this game since 1989, this show, whatever. I don't know everything, right? I don't know everything. And I go to the gym, and I actually have moved into this country, and I had coaches in many walks of life look at what I'm doing and the way that I do things. They critique it, but then you look at their resume and you look at the way they do things, and it's always the person that doesn't really know what the hell they're doing to keep critiquing the person that really does know what they're doing. And I'm saying this, and I'm saying this lightly because at the end of the day, I don't know everything. Listen, I was never the best fighter. Every loss that I have, I lost. I didn't slip on a banana peel, and I wasn't sick. I lost, right? So, right. And the ones that I won, I deserve to win. I do have. I've been on every level like yourself, Olympic. Amateur. I'm trying to the Olympics and all those things like that. Right. But I find out that the people that have the most to say are the ones with the least amount of experience.
Yeah.
Always, bro. Always.
I just said, it's funny you say that. I just said on my Facebook like three days ago, I said my status was, I have a few haters. I know this. They're visible to me. But one thing they all have in common is none of them did nearly as much as I have in the game of boxing.
Salute.
Always the people lesser than me. Nobody better than me has been hating on me. Because they don't have time. They're not worried about me. Roy
where did you post that? Because I'm going to copy that.
Yeah, Roy Jones is not hating on me. You know what I mean? So,
Hey, John, what you thought about Charlo with Canelo, man? What was that about?
I think he went in hoping that he could do something. I think he got hit in the first round with something he didn't like, and that was the ball game. Game was over.
You don't think it was just a payday for this guy?
Yeah, but I mean, I think he went in. He said, "I'm gonna give it a shot." Like, look, if he felt something good in the first round, he would have went for it. But it was either going to be good or bad, and it was bad. He felt some shots. He felt the pressure, and I think he decided by the end of the first round, I can't beat this guy. He's too strong. He's too big. I can't beat him. And he just boxed, and he got through. And
sometimes you got to keep a guy like that. Sometimes you got to keep hitting him. You just can't stop.
Right. Yeah, but like I say, I mean, I think I'm not a fan of Charlo, honestly. I don't really like his attitude and the whole nine, but I get it. I mean, the guy, I'm sure Canelo hits very hard. I'm sure. And when you're in the ring with him, you'll see it's kind of like with Beterbiev. I think people get in the ring with Canelo and they realize he's a much better fighter than he actually may get credit for. Like, this guy can fight. He knows what he's doing.
There's levels to this shit. There's levels to this shit.
Danny, not for nothing. I want John.
I just feel like he's very, very imposing. Like, once you get in the ring with him, he's feeling all this.
He's there.
Strong.
No, he's there. He's
that
there.
energy of that strength of him just being solid. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. But Bebo got him with the 1-2-1. When you throw that,
Bivol's a much bigger guy because the thing is, he's a small guy. Canelo is a small guy, and but compared to Charlo, he's a big guy. But compared to Bivol, because if you remember,
they were at 175 then.
When Canelo fought Triple G and they faced off at the weigh-in, I was amazed how much bigger Triple G was. I was amazed how big he was compared to Canelo, and against like Bivol or Beterbiev, Canelo would look like a little kid next to these guys, but next to Charlo, you could see. I mean, the weight difference was big. I think to his credit, I mean, if Charlo could have done something, he would have, but I think he felt something big. Psychologically, I think he was beaten. By the end of the first round, I think he was beaten. He didn't want to risk it.
With the jab, though. That's what the jab is for.
But now he's calling out Crawford. He's going
See,
from
he's just trying to look. He's trying to maximize the money situation. That's all that is.
But not only that, he's thinking like, what? But I can go down, and then I'm still in my right weight class, and I can, I'm gonna be the bigger guy against Bud. That's what he's thinking. He's like, I can do the same thing
You're right. You're
that
right.
Canelo did to me. I can do that to Bud because he's really gonna be coming up from 147 to 154. But Bud rehydrates and looks amazing after all his fights. Like the night of his fight. So I don't know if it would be as much of a factor as it was for him, and I'm moving up to 168.
But even Bud said he gave him too much respect. When you asked Bud said that Charlo gave Canelo too much respect, and that's exactly what he did. He gave him too much respect.
Yeah,
And
when
then
you get hit upside the head, you ain't got nothing but do but to give some respect.
Exactly,
Hold on to
Danny.
your
That's what
whiskers.
happened. He felt that power. He didn't like it, just like the Iceman is saying. And then he just was like, well, I can at least be somebody that never get that Canelo wasn't able to knock out. But honestly, I feel like if Canelo really wanted to knock him out by the end, he was so defeated mentally that I believe he could have. I don't think Canelo really wanted to knock him out all that much. I mean, especially knowing some of the damage that he's been able to cause to other boxers that were fighting out of their weight class. You know
Hey
what I'm saying?
John,
That fought him.
hey John, when you think about that fight with Canelo and Charlo, right? He obviously had him. He broke him down that first round or whatever he did. He broke his will, right? You
Right.
get in with a guy sometimes who's trying to survive. It's damn near impossible to knock him out because
Right.
he's doing everything to survive.
If you get a professional fighter, a high level fighter, he's going to go the distance with anyone in the world if he wants to. You know what I mean? And it's like, Roy Jones when he was at the end of his career, and he he was obviously shot physically, mentally, and when he fought Tarver the third time, he used his speed and his skills, and he couldn't really do much with Tarver. I think he realized that at that point, but he got through. Tarver couldn't knock him out, couldn't catch up to him. When you're at the world class level, you're gonna get through. You know how to make it through. Like you take a guy, like you were a top level guy, right? You could go spar with somebody right now, a good fighter. You could do 3 rounds with them, even out of boxing shape. Yes, you could. Sure, you could. You could do 3. You could do 3 rounds, 100%.
Did you ever coast through a fight like that? What you're describing right now?
I did one fight. I was really, really, really dehydrated, and I was in a bad physical situation, and I was coasting through it, but I was trying to find a way, I was trying to find the moment, to hit the gas and really do something. And it was just like, Danny will understand, like there's a threshold that you have to cross in order to be in a fight. Just because you're in a ring doesn't mean you're in the fight, right? And there's a threshold you have to cross. And I'll give you the most easy to see example. When Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti fought each other, especially in the 9th round of that first fight, they were all the way past the threshold. They were completely on the other side of it, where nothing mattered other than just throwing punches and landing punches, and whatever happens to me, they didn't care. It was a beautiful thing to see, because you usually don't see 2 guys at the same moment completely cross that threshold where nothing matters but winning this fight. And
Yes, sir.
I was in a fight, and I remember I said, I want to win, but I don't feel it. I'm not right, but I want to find a way to do it. And I'm gonna take my time. And it was almost like, it's kind of funny to think of it in these terms. And Danny, again, I'm sure you've been in this situation where the first round went by, and I said, okay, I'm going to get through the first round, then I'm going to start fighting. Then after the first round, I said, okay, let me get to the third, and then I'm going to start pushing it. Then I get to the third, and I'm like, all right, I don't feel it yet. I'm gonna wait till I get to the fifth, and then I'm gonna push it. And then before I knew it, the fight's almost over, and I haven't even tried yet to jump. And finally, when I really started going and reaching that point, the fight was over. Yeah, the fight was over.
Canelo had four.
So here's the thing. I get it. Everything any fighter on earth has been through, psychologically, emotionally, physically, I've been there. I get it. I get it all. So I'm not as critical as guys, only because I've been at the highs and I've been at the lows. Like, I feel it 100%. I know what they feel like. I sympathize with it. And like I say, he went in there. I just feel like he felt something really bad. And believe me, I think I'll bet you $1 million. Charlo will tell you every round I was saying to myself, let's go. Let's risk it. Let's trade punches. Let me try.
He played it safe. He was playing it safe.
Right. And he couldn't cross that threshold. And if you can't, and I can give you a million examples of guys who didn't. Good fighters, good champions, but they couldn't cross that threshold into the point of no return. And once you allow yourself to not go past the point of return, it's going to be a 1 second you're fighting, then the next second you're defensive and you're not sure. But Mickey and Arturo, especially when they hit that 9th round, they were past the point of no return, and there was nothing. And they could have been in with Godzilla, and they would have tried.
In my mind, John, Charlo already. In my mind, Charlo had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, you know what? I'm still got my belts, so I don't gotta win this fight.
Right, but what I mean is, in that first round, he was testing the water. I believe if he saw something, if he saw a light at the end of the tunnel, he would have went for it. But I think Canelo let him know very strongly.
This is my way.
But it be like what you just said too about his attitude, that he has like this bully attitude, right? He has this raw bully attitude. And then when he got in there in that first round, he realized he wasn't a big bully that day.
Yeah.
The other guy was the bully.
It just broke him. And he had no answer for that.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah.
I don't know. To me, he didn't fight like he had 4 belts. To me, he should have still gave more than what he did. He just sold out. I got to say that. That's how I feel, that he sold out.
Oh, and I think Charlo's always Charlo's a slow starter normally. He normally starts slow. Canelo just was on him so much, he never let him get started. Like he said, never let him cross that threshold. Right. If Canelo fell back a little bit, Charlo might have, tried to cross that threshold. But Canelo
guys, where was the jab, man? The letter A in the alphabet, the jab. You're not sure. Throw a jab. He didn't even do that.
Man, when you get hit upside the head, your whole game plan goes off, man. When you get in with some guy that, look, I fought a fight one time. I'm sure he'd been through it before. We keep, going back and forth here, but I lost like 32 pounds in 10 days, right? And I felt emaciated. I felt weak. But I still believe I could win, right? So I got in there with the guy. In the very first round, he hit me with a jab. And I swear to you, it felt like a right hand. Like I had nothing. And I had no answers for it. And I was just like a deer in headlights, man. I was just blank. I was bland. And I don't know if he's ever been through something like that, but I always feel confident in everything I do. I never go into something thinking that I'm going to come up short. I go in there no matter what. I'm going blaze of glory, right? But, man, I remember getting hit with a jab, like literally a jab. I'm like, that's not supposed to feel like that. You know what I mean? I just felt so weak.
Hey, Danny, listen to this. The reason why I got to say this is that Breland fought Lattimore. I was there with Manuel Stewart and Victor Machado. I was a bucket boy. But when I saw this fight, he was knocked out almost. Lattimore almost knocked Mark out. I'm the only one that knew to tell Mark, Ali, because he used to mimic Ali. He turned around, no matter how hurt he was, he popped his jab and caught him coming in like the way Canelo comes in. He caught him coming in. Now, if he didn't throw it, he would have got knocked out. But when he threw the jab, The fight went totally around. So what I'm saying is, when you got 4 belts like that, that's how you got to at least at least go out.
So said that weight was affecting him too.
Yeah. And can I
Like,
just say, let me just,
and he know that one of his main benefit, like one of his main attributes at 154 is his speed and explosiveness. And as soon as you gain that type of weight at once, that is out the window. You are not going to have that same type of pop and speed that you had
He
at a
didn't,
lower weight.
Shakira, you're right, but he didn't say that before. He said actually he walks around that way, so he'd be all right. So he
Walking
contradicted
around
it.
at a weight and fighting at a weight is two different
I
things.
know that, but that's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Well, he's supposed to say all that to sell the
well,
fight.
let me, hey, listen, Danny, it's funny because I was just telling someone the other day, I don't listen to any pre-fight talking. I don't care what anyone says before a fight because it's all lies. It doesn't mean a thing. Like, and I use this as an example. I could train for a fight, the biggest fight of my life. I could get hit by a bus on the morning of the fight. And when I'm walking into the arena and the security guard asks me how I feel, I'm going to tell him I feel like $1 million, right? That's what I'm supposed to say. Now, I'll tell you after the fight, I got hit by a bus this morning and I'm almost dead. You know what I mean? But before the fight, if you ask a fighter any question, I already know what he's going to tell you. He's going to tell you the best possible answer. Nobody in history has ever said, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to win. I bruised my knee the other day and I broke my toenail and my wife is nagging. My wife's making me crazy.
Yeah.
I don't listen to anything, any trainer. I'll give an example. I'll give you the best example. When Chad Dawson fought Andre Ward, he was really losing the weight badly. It was a horrible thing. And everybody, I'm not saying anything that people don't know, but he got knocked down in the gym by Edison Miranda before the fight. So
Colombian cat.
So right when it happens, the guy, Mike Coppinger, I think he's with Ring or ESPN or somebody now. He called me and he said, "Oh man, I heard Chad got dropped by Edison Miranda." And I'm like, "Nah, who told you that?" "Oh, somebody was in the gym." I said, "Well, only my people are in the gym, and I don't know who told you that, but he didn't get dropped by Edison Miranda." So after the fight, when it came out that it really happened, he called me back almost like mad, and he said, "Oh, what's this? I mean, you told me he didn't get knocked out." I go, "Are you stupid? Are you mentally ill? I'm supposed to tell you that he got knocked down? Who are you? Who are you? Why in the world would I have to tell you that? I don't even know you. What sense does that make that you could call? Do you think you could call Angelo Dundee the week before Sugar Ray Leonard fought Hackler and said, 'Hey, Angelo, tell me everything. Tell me everything that's going on.' It's just stupid. So I don't read into anything anybody says before a fight because as a fighter, I know we lie about everything. We're going to tell
marketing 101, huh?
Whatever makes us sound good is what we're going to tell you.
Never show weakness. Never show weakness.
It would be stupid not to. It would be stupid to say, to tell you my secrets. Why would I do that? It makes no sense.
Danny probably weight drained. Danny was weight drained and he was looking terrible. And he's like, "Oh, I feel amazing.
Yeah,
it was the best camp of my life."
That's what I'm saying.
Meanwhile, I got a kickstand holding my head up.
Hey, let me tell you, right? The biggest weight loss of my career where it was horrible. It was horrible. It was so horrible that I literally looked emaciated. My friend told me later, he said, "Man, I saw you in the dressing room before the fight and your skin was green, right? You look like an alien." So
like you was about to pass out right then.
We're done with weigh-in. My friend's father, you never let non-boxing people in around you because they don't know better. They don't know what to say and what not to say. One of the fighters' fathers was with us walking back to the hotel after the weigh-in. So the fighter said to me, "How you feel?" Now I look horrible, right? But I said what everybody says. Yeah, I feel good. His father, no lie, this is what he said to me walking back after the weigh into the hotel. He said, "You feel good? You look like death warmed over." Right?
Oh wow.
And I couldn't even be mad because I knew he was right.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah.
He was just too stupid to say it. You know what I mean? Like he shouldn't have said it. He's an idiot. But I knew he was right, so I didn't even argue.
But at least you have a friend that's willing to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
don't need to hear that shit right then and
yeah,
there.
no. That was if he had any sense, he would have shut up. Like I would never in years say that to a fighter. He was too stupid to understand that he shouldn't say that.
Hey, John, how do you
It's
feel,
the time and the place, huh?
real quick question. I think Tyson Fury's supposed to be fighting this UFC guy, that Indian guy who's a big puncher. What do you feel about these crossover fights? Is it good for the sport? Is it, damages the sport? What do you think?
I've never watched him. I'm the only guy on the face of the earth that has never seen Mayweather and McGregor. I've never seen Mayweather against the wrestler. I've never seen Mayweather fight the karate guy. I don't watch any of that. I don't watch any of that. None of it.
Why are we just pinpointing Mayweather? Let's go with Jake Paul. Did you watch any of
I've
Jake
never
Paul's?
seen Jake Paul fight either. Never.
Tyson Fury's supposed to fight that guy.
Salute.
I'm not
Salute.
watching Tyson Fury fight that MMA guy either.
Yeah, I'm kind of like not interested in that, but it did help him sign the contract in Saudi with Ugas. I mean not Ugas.
Usyk.
Usyk. I'm sorry. Yes, Usyk.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Dan,
it helped that contract get solidified.
But you got people out here. The problem is you have people watching the sport. Like people say, "Oh, it's good for the sport." No, it's not. You're bringing fans that are idiots into the sport. Like you have people out there who think Jake Paul is a world-class fighter. They think he's a superstar. They think he could beat Canelo. And these are the type of people we have to deal. We have to listen to these people and not verbally annihilate them because people will say we're haters. It's crazy. Like
all the time, man.
It's embarrassing to listen to people tell me that Jake Paul could fight Canelo. And he says it himself.
He says it. Yeah,
Somebody should tell him, don't disrespect Canelo because it's not right that you're saying this. You're a novice professional.
It's an insult. It's an insult.
Of course it is. It's a big time insult. You should not be allowed to say this. It's wrong.
I mean, it would be wonderful if the boxing, like the fans they have, did really turn into real boxing fans. But really, they're just in it to see their favorite person be in a fight. Like they're not then being like, "Oh, I gotta catch this Shakur fight."
These aren't people that are going to be able to tell you about the monster and Arthur Betabaev's history. They're not going to know any of that nonsense. They're gonna just they think Jake Paul is a high level elite fighter. They think he's gonna beat Canelo. It's just insane.
Now you know why I don't want to talk about it, Danny. When I go, I don't want to talk about it. Talk about something else.
Well, I would like to talk about Showtime departing from boxing starting in 2025. Basically, 2024 is supposed to be their last year in boxing, which is similar to how HBO ended up ending their boxing distribution. Why does this keep happening? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't know much about the real business end of it, but I know, with the streaming and all that, and it was bound to happen. The streaming networks are going to take over, and boxing.
I mean, it's kind of weird because they do have streaming. Their streaming is with Paramount. Like
right.
that's who owns Showtime. But obviously, they didn't feel like there was enough viewership and money to even deb into that as an option.
Right. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't know much about the business of. I never read about DAZN and all that kind of stuff. I don't even pay attention to that. I don't even know anything about it.
Right. I mean, the only thing that makes me care about it is just, you're just looking at another way that older people and boxing fans, they're having hard enough time accessing the sport as it is with these different apps and things.
Right.
And with Showtime, they were at least on TV, cable, accessible that way. And so it's just another, a door that's closing on access, easier access to boxing. that's
Oh,
that's why I'm interested.
I mean, you shouldn't have to pay to see boxing, right? We've been watching baseball for free. We've been watching football.
Football.
Could you imagine if you had to pay to watch the Super Bowl?
Look,
Imagine
you bring
they
it
said,
up, but who knows that you're giving them an idea, but
yeah, I mean, imagine they said, Super
Back in
Bowl
the day, it used to
$10.
be on USA. It used to be on ABC. It used to be on CBS back in the day. We got a comment right here from Coach Lou. He says, he's saying it first. Boxing is gonna be the Netflix is gonna be the next boxing site on Netflix.
well, hey, I already pay for that, so that would be awesome. I'm just not for paying for a whole nother different app on top of everything else separately that we pay for as boxing fans. Like he's saying, it's totally not fair that boxing fans have to pay for the pay-per-views, the different apps, the premium channels, and if they want to actually go to an event, they have to pay there as well.
Right. Yeah.
See,
It's a,
I mean, you brought up something here, and I want to ask him something like this.
Mhm.
Being that you had the crossover fights and Jake Pauls and stuff like that. Do you I know all the fighters you train. I mean, I pretty much know the Dawsons and all that stuff like that. But do you train any mixed martial artists?
no.
No, stayed out of that. You stayed out of that lane.
Nah. I've never even watched MMA before. I don't even,
Wow.
I don't
Now,
Okay.
even,
even I've watched MMA now. Come on now,
uh,
Scully.
not me.
I mean,
Not me.
because they got some people over in MMA that they just do stand up boxing, like Usman and McGregor was like that. Like they have some people that all they really do, like they don't do any grappling. They're just
No,
all
but
about stand up boxing, really. Wild stand up boxing, but boxing nevertheless.
Sakura, I know he knows this guy, George
Okay.
St. Pierre. You know George St. Pierre?
Yeah.
Yeah,
course.
him and Arthur are actually really good friends.
That dude could box. George St. Pierre could box.
Yeah, I've heard
I've been,
that.
I've been up in Montreal with Lou Chamboutet and all that stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I moved around with some of them guys. George St. Pierre can box. I'm gonna tell you that shit straight out
Mhm.
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
George St. Pierre can box.
Him and Arthur are friends. Yeah, they hang
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
That bare knuckle boxing is garbage too. I just saw it the other day. I wanted to throw up.
What? No way. I
That's
love bare knuckles
that's
boxing.
garbage. That's
I
garbage.
love it. I love that
There's
they're
no
like,
skills there. They grab, they go.
hold up though. You was just complaining about Charlo not giving something a chance and not going for it. Now, therefore, these bare knuckle fighters, they're going for it. Like, there's no doubt about it. They're gonna try to swing. They're gonna try to make some damage happen.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I go for it, but not with your head first. I'm not saying like that. Like these guys, they just stuck in mud there. I'm not talking just go wild, but go out
You
fight.
gotta watch another fight. We'll give you a different one to watch.
All
Like
right,
maybe you
well,
Hey,
watched the wrong one.
real quick. Hey, John, listen. I know it's getting kind of late, man. Um, I want to talk about something before we go off the air. We got a few minutes left, right?
Yeah.
First, how do you feel about women's boxing? Number one. Number two, because we had Laura Ramsey on the show earlier today. She got inducted into International Boxing Hall of Fame, Women's Hall of Fame. Two, you're involved with all these organizations when it comes to helping out retired boxers, helping out boxers in need, bringing boxers together, keeping the family together. Because boxing is a very close knit type of deal, but
Yeah.
sometimes we lose track of people. I want to talk about these things that you're passionate about. Can you bring that to light so people can get to know a little bit more about it?
Right. Well, I do these reunions. I do these boxers reunions, and I got the idea. You can actually see the video is on YouTube. If you go to
Uh-huh.
YouTube, 2011, I was at the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and Mark Too Sharp Johnson was getting inducted the next day. And we were on the stage, and it was me, Mark, Shambe Mitchell, Michael Moore, and Kevin Kelly. And we were all together. Now, we're all from like the class of 1988 amateurs. We were all in the nationals together. And we're talking, and I have it on video. Somebody videotaped us. And I was just thinking, like, man, this is crazy. Like, there's the 5 of us here together, reminiscing. We all know the same people. I said, it would be, imagine if we could get like 50 of us. Then a year later, I was at Gleason's gym in Brooklyn for an amateur show. And I have a picture from that day. And it was me, Junior Jones, Iran Barkley, Lonnie Davis, and like 2 or 3 other guys.
Lonnie
and I'm
Davis.
saying,
Wow.
I said, man, the same thing. If I got all of us together, imagine what it would be like. So since then, I've done like 15 of these reunions. I've done them in Foxwoods Casino. I've done them in Mohegan Sun. I've done the reunions in Detroit, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Boston, Lowell. And it's been phenomenal. I've had, off the top of my head, I've had Roy Jones, Lamont Brewster, Alex Ramos, Mike McCallum.
Wow.
What's the name? I mean, I can't even think of Skipper Kelp. And I mean, just so many guys. James
Skipper
Quick
Kelp,
Tillis.
wow.
Yeah, James Quick Tillis was at one. Lamont Brewster, Montel Griffin. Man, at the last one, I had. Matter of fact, you got to go to YouTube and watch this video. It was June 24 this year in Times Square, literally in Times Square, right outside.
I saw it.
Okay, Tom Patty, who was Mike Tyson's best friend. Tom Patty fought Farad Pinchback in the Empire State Games in 1986. They haven't seen each other since 1986.
Wow.
I got it on video right outside in Times Square where I go up to Farad and we hug and what's up, man? And I turn around and here comes Tom. This guy, Farad Pinchback, he started crying. He's hugging Tommy. I mean, I thought he was never going to let Tommy go.
Wow.
And he's crying and it was just so intense. And I'm just, you guys got to look it up. You got to look
beautiful,
it up.
man. That's beautiful.
For real.
Listen, watch the video.
You got another one planned?
It's unbelievable, right? Well, I'm doing another one in Times Square again in either June or July. And this one, like I had about 150 people at that one. This one, I'm trying for like 300.
John, how was you able to do that though? How do you get everybody together like that?
He has everybody's numbers.
I got everybody's number. I send out mass texts. I send out text messages and emails, and I say, listen, I just keep updating them. I'm like, look, I'm looking at June 24 in New York City. And look, I don't pay anybody to come. I don't get them hotels. I just tell them, look, find a hotel room, find some money, get out here. We're hanging out. And I mean, in Los Angeles, I have Michael Nunn, Danny Little Red Lopez.
Everybody likes you, man. You're the Drake. You're the Drake of boxing. Everybody likes you. That's what it is.
Yes, Drake, a.k.a. Iceman.
But it's a beautiful thing because they all get to see. As a matter of fact, I have it on another video you can watch. In Los Angeles about 3 years ago, Michael Nunn and I fought in 1995. We kept in touch over the years. When he was in prison, he used to call me and I used to write to him. And but the first time I saw him was 2018 in Los Angeles. I have it on video when we first saw each other, the very first moment when we saw each other. I reconnected him with Alex Ramos, who he fought in 1986. All kinds of people. I mean, it's been Kelsey Banks and Roy Jones, who were on the 1988 Olympic team. They met each other at my reunion in Las Vegas in 2017 for the first time since the Olympics.
John, I got one you gotta find, man. You gotta find this guy. I don't know if you could. You tried for me the other day. Orlando Carrasquillo.
Right. Okay. Orlando. Now, where was he from? Where did he live?
He's somewhere in Florida now, but you know why I'm telling you to find him, right?
Well, you fought him, right?
No, I ain't fight him. I never got to fight. I was a trainer. I
Okay.
watched this guy with the mitts. He did mitts for Junior Jones,
Oh,
McCullum.
you told me that. Right.
Everybody used to fight over this guy. Nobody knows about him. He's boxing best kept secret. I never seen guy do mitts like that. They all fought over him. They wouldn't even go to training camp. They used to fight over this guy. Quiet guy, Orlando Carrasquillo. Find him, and I'm telling you, he's gonna tell you stories.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna put the word out.
All of ask Junior Jones, ask Poison. He
I'll
knew
ask
exactly.
him. Yeah.
I like Poison. He's a nice guy. We did
Yeah,
an interview with him, like when he was inducted with. Was he inducted in your class, Danny?
No, he wasn't.
I think he was in the New York City class. He
Yeah,
got
well, I'm
into
talking about Florida. I'm talking about Florida.
Oh, he went into
Because guess
Florida.
what?
Okay.
Danny isn't inducted into the New York State one, which now we've got a campaign going for that to happen as a Golden Glover. You know,
But I will say this. I'm going to
Glover.
end this here, but I won the New York City Golden Gloves, the Empire States, the Metros, the Nationals. I won the City Gloves. I mean, I won everything there, and I never lost a fight in Madison Square Garden. Every time I fought there, I shined. I knocked out a Via Mariki. I mean, I did everything there. That's my home. You know, I always rise. You know, they say cream rise to the top. I always did really good at the Garden. You know.
All right.
Yes.
Listen,
So
John.
Danny for New York Hall of Fame. Damn it, let's make it happen, guys. Whoever's in charge up there.
Please listen, John. I'm gonna just I know you're on the East Coast. It's past 9 o'clock. I'm not gonna keep you on too much longer.
Overtime. We went overtime with this guy.
If we
Oh
can,
hell,
if
it's
we can
10
schedule
o'clock.
sometime in the future again, when I'm up in the city again, I want to catch up with you. Maybe take you out to lunch. And I like to eat a lot, so you know, I'm definitely gonna take you out when I get over there. But you have an open invite here to Colombia. You know, Jesus, talk to Jesus, he'll tell you about it. You know, we do some good things over here. I want to say many blessings to you, my brother. Thank you very much. I'm gonna let my co-host say their goodbyes, and I'm gonna let the boss take us out.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir, Scully, awesome seeing you, talking to you. Sorry I was late during interrupting the whole the flow of the conversation, but I was glad I was a part of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, John, thank you, bro. You made me feel at home now. See what I mean?
Yes, sir. 100%.
Old school, baby. Old school.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Lonnie, you mentioned Lonnie. What was his last name, Lonnie?
Lonnie Davis.
Was it Lonnie? It was a middleweight, right?
Yeah, but it was Lonnie Davis and Lonnie Bradley.
What happened to Lonnie Davis, the light-skinned guy?
He's Lonnie Davis is he actually works in New York City. He's in the union. He works
we gotta
on.
Find these guys, man. That guy was a monster too.
He worked on the World Trade Center after when the World Trade Center went down. He was there the next day helping clean up.
What about Ronaldo Snipes?
Oh, I see Ronaldo. He's still around.
Great guy, man. That's a good dude. I mean, let me stop, man. Let me stop. I can't. We're gonna go another hour here, bro.
Well, no, let me tell you, Ronaldo came to my reunion in the Bronx a couple years ago.
Salute, man. Salute.
Yeah, Spanish Ray with all these. What about this one and that one? We're gonna have to have a show just named "What About This One," so you can catch up.
Because they be forgotten. Guys like this brings them back. Thank God for this guy right here.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely. We're all about archiving, different former boxers, former champions, people that were in the sport. I mean, a guy like Iceman here, I mean, he got a wealth of information, and we love the fact that he's, bringing boxers together in those type of reunions and doing charity work. I mean, that's amazing. I love it. And we got to get him back for a part 2, obviously. So tonight, though, we're going to call it a night, and we're going to say thank you so much for joining us, John. We appreciate you. As always, make sure you subscribe to Boxing Playhouse IG, Playhouse Entertainment, Facebook, and it also has Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube channels at Boxing Playhouse. Until next week, next Wednesday, I can't wait to see you all. And our next lineup, Danny, do y'all know who the next guest is? Is it the females?
We're gonna keep it hush. Me and Ray are working on something, but we don't want our haters to try to pull them away. So we're gonna keep it hush for a couple of days.
It might be a ladies' night. It might be a ladies' night.
It is. Well, I'll tell you that much. It is a ladies' night.
John, thanks for coming, John. Thanks for coming, man.
All right, guys. Thank
Peace
you.
out, everybody.
All
Bye.
right. Yeah.
Enjoy your night.
I'm very surgical, physical when I'm lyrical. So bad it now with medical, something critical. It's gonna take a miracle. Bright lights, but the spiritual written down like biblical. I finally reached the pinnacle. Yeah. Welcome to the house. The one they talking about. Word of mouth.